Welcome back, everyone. This is Explainer of Mysteries here, and today we're going to be talking about the Decans of Cancer. The first deacon being the lunar deacon, the second deacon being the martial deacon, and the third deacon being the Jovian deacon or the Neptunian deacon. Now, to start off with the lunar deacon, the first deacon, just like the first deacon of any sign, it is going to be Cancer in its pure form. So this is everything to do with the sign of Cancer being nurturing, homely, caring. It could be seeking comfort, particularly psychological comfort and safety. This could be a physical sense of safety, a psychological sense of safety, a sense of security, a sense of comfort. And it can also be with emotions and intuition. Now, all of the water signs are going to have an element of intuitiveness to them. They're going to have a high degree of that to them, much more so than the other elements. And with that being said, we're going to move on to the second deacon of Cancer. This is the martial deacon. Now, the moon is in fall in Scorpio, and the moon rules Cancer. So, how does this play about? Well, the Scorpio deacon of Cancer has to do with intuitiveness more so. This has to do with all things scorpionic, along with being, but in a Cancerian manner. So, this can actually to do with Cancer enacting itself through Scorpio. This can be sort of spying. This could be being intrusive for the sake of security. If you think of a preemptive assault in war, or taking a preemptive action in order to protect the self. Now, Scorpio, being having to do with secrets and oftentimes with illusions, this can create the illusion that the preemptive action is actually aggressive and that it is intrusive. Now, Cancer does have to do with security, so oftentimes this scorpionic action, this scorpionic behavior through the second deacon of Cancer can represent behavior that is done out of insecurity. This is done to maintain a sense of security. And Scorpio also has to do with other people's money. It has to do with sexuality. So, this could be sort of checking up on an investment to make sure that investment is going good. This investment could be an investment in a house, the investment in an employee, and I know I just got a notification from Snapchat right there. I do apologize for that. So we're going to be moving on to the third deacon of Cancer, that is the the Jovian deacon or the Neptunian deacon. Now, what does this deacon have to do with? So, the deacon of Jupiter or the deacon of Neptune has to do with the deacon of protection, the deacon of luck. This is where Jupiter's exalted. So this is oftentimes considered the best deacon of Cancer if Jupiter's exalted in Cancer. So if Jupiter's in the third deacon of Cancer, that's like considered like the best of the best. That is like Jupiter, the greater benefic planet and exaltation. That's like you got multiplying on multiplying on multiplying, right? However, this can come with excess. This can come with anxiety. This has to do with Pisces. This can come with a lack of boundaries. And, excess doesn't is can be a bad thing sometimes. Sometimes, this lack of boundaries, this lack of Saturn energy can really bring about the good along with the bad. So this is sort of, kind of all over the place. But this still ties in with the Cancerian energy. That Cancerian energy being the Cancerian energy that is protective, that is homely. This can have to do with the home. This could be sort of an eccentric home design. This could be traveling a lot. This could be kind of a happy-go-lucky sign in Cancerian ways, relating with things that correspond with Cancer and the moon. So when it comes to the water signs, they can be difficult and they can be confusing when looking at the decans because the water signs do cover a lot of territory, and the water signs have, inherently a more intuitive nature. There is a less physical nature. There is more of a boundless nature. Water is less restricted. Water and fire in general are the least restricted elements because fire can just burn through everything, melt through everything. Water is erosive. Water can kind of cut through everything and leak through everything. But water also gives way to life. You know, um, if there's water and oxygen present in something, then there's bound to be some kind of life. There's bound to be microbes, even in a place, like outer space. If, a meteor or an asteroid or a comet has water in there, there's, guaranteed to be some kind of microbial life. Or at minimum, maybe viruses or something very, very primitive and simple that, at least has some resemblance to life on Earth. So, with that being said, this is it for introducing the three decans of Cancer. And I say introduction because really, the water signs have inherently a very, very deep nature to them. Yes, the water signs can be the most confusing simply because of the nature of the water signs, especially when looking at the decans, because all of the water signs are going to have a decan that corresponds to Scorpio. That being the third decan of Cancer, the first decan of Scorpio, all the decans of Scorpio actually, and the third decan of Pisces. The second decan of Cancer, I made a mistake there and said the third decan of Cancer. That is the second decan of Cancer, all the decans of Scorpio, especially the first decan and the third decan of Pisces. So thanks everyone, and we'll see each other soon.